Welcome back to College Football 26, episode number 30. We are in the middle of a season. It's the first time in a while that we've carried over an episode into another episode still in the same season. It's a nice advantage to be back to a couple episodes per week to be able to do that occasionally. However, quick note, I will have to finish this series with or without a championship in just under a month. November 4th is the release date for both Europa Universalis 5 and FM26 Football Manager. Those are going to be the only two games on the channel for months to come after that. I would really only have either one of those on the channel for a good while. Lots of content coming from those, but I need to wrap things up on all my other series prior to that. So the sooner we can get a championship, the better, because otherwise it's going to be difficult with maybe 8 episodes. I'm not sure we can win a championship within the next 8 seasons. I got to keep things moving. Speaking of moving, we are moving right along through this season. We're 6 weeks in. We haven't had a bye week. We're 6-0. If you look at the top 10 around us, everybody's played 3 to maybe 4 games. We are by far the furthest ahead of that pace. But we're looking at everybody in the top 10 being a 90-plus, except for Ole Miss at an 87, who we lost to actually a year ago, and Wisconsin at an 89. We've got ourselves at a 92 for the first time. But the big noteworthy thing is we're only a couple of conference games into our first ever season in the American Conference. So how much tougher will it be? How many challenges, how many obstacles do we face? Are we put through the ringer and taking a couple losses along the way? Our opponents, even with our 6-0 record, combined opponent record is 26-24. We still have a couple more games before we even hit that first bye week, and then the season really lightens up as we take on the real contenders. For now, though, everybody around us in the conference has taken a couple of losses, so our 10th ranked Akron team has got a real shot to go pretty deep. But we don't know. It's going to be a tougher challenge one way or another, but we've got a good team. And we've got a signature and 4-star halfback Haskins. And 4-star quarterback Lamp. Now it's 7-0 and those first 2 commits. First off, Haskins, the halfback, 4-star. He's a gem, so he's really actually a 5-star. And already, even before being a gem, he's the 15th best running back in the country, which means he's easily, with the promotion, is one of the best out there. Lamp is a top 10 quarterback as well, so great additions there. We have lost out to one of the active recruits we were going after, but we're doing really well. We're very close to getting a commitment on this linebacker, and we're getting into the later stages here, at least on Vaughn. And these other guys are a little bit earlier in the process. I did go aggressively after some targets that we just were not going to win. But there is a ton of 4-stars that we are active with, either just getting started or well into that process as we make our way down the list. And at least for the moment, and I know it'll thin out, we are still potentially getting the signature of 22 high school 4-star recruits. Next up, North Texas should be an easy one at home, but before we take on that 8th game, as we are now 8th in the rankings, the highest we've ever been. The other notable thing, and I think the compromise for me, is, okay, we're missing out on a 5-star recruit this season. That sucks. Okay, moving on from that, I would rather, instead of having 1 5-star recruit and say 9 4-star recruits for 10 recruits at 4 stars or better overall for a recruiting class, I would much rather take 16 or 18 or 20 4-star recruits without that 1 5-star. More depth of quality is going to do more for us, as we've seen with that huge class every season of 30 to 35 guys at 3-star or better, how that slowly grew us into a powerhouse as we are now. We just have to build that prestige more to actually be able to compete a little more directly for those recruits, which we are getting there. It's still an iffy, situation, but we are getting better about being able to target some of those guys and actually get the signature across the line. And as we can secure more and more of those 4 stars and sneak our way into the 5 stars, eventually we'll be able to compete a little bit for the 5 stars and have an easy time getting the 4 stars. It all just builds in that direction. And more prestige means more hours, means better recruits. We secure that 8th victory, perfect so far, 2/3 of the way through the season, but we actually drop in the rankings. And such is the nature of being so far ahead of everybody else. They're going to start catching up to us as they get more wins and signature wins, and we're obviously getting more recognition as we've moved up to the American, but that doesn't mean we're going to just be able to hold a position and move up, 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 up as we win. We can still slip behind other programs as their wins are going to mean more than ours. Rice on the road definitely gives us a tougher challenge. They're 75 overall, and we're on the road. They're 4-2, they're 3-0 in conference. You take that 10 points off for being on the road, and that makes us about an 82. Definitely the favorite, but maybe by a touchdown. Over the last 3-game stretch, USF was actually the toughest challenge with a 1-point victory. We beat them 38-37. North Texas was no problem at 52-14. They are one of the weaker teams in the conference, just 2-6. Rice, we did pretty okay with 38-20 on the road to get that victory to now be 9-0. UTSA, Texas San Antonio, 5-3, but we're on the road. I don't know what their ratings are, but I'm guessing that they're not going to be too tough. Tulane still should be the biggest challenge. They have rebounded after a slow start of the season, but they are very much not the team that they were a season ago. Just 5-3, just 3-1 in conference, and we're at home. And Temple's just 4-5, 1-4 in conference. So we actually have a very good chance of going into the American Championship undefeated. Signature center Vaughn, 4 stars. Risk of transfer after we now go 10-0. 3 playing style guys, 3 pro potential guys, and just 2 worried about playing time. 4-star free safety Breda has signed. A lot of Ohio guys too, which is going to make it a lot easier to hang on to them. The Green Wave are anything but bad. They're an 83 overall still this season. A little bit down from last year. What were they, 85? Something like that, their ratings for last season. But it's definitely had an impact on their record. I think their schedule's probably had a bigger impact than anything else, and why they're only 6-3. They are 4-1 in conference, so they are starting to emerge as the potential number 2 team. But as we're at home, we should have enough of an advantage to get that 11th win. Should. And it's kind of a signature win. We've slowly slipped back down to just number 10 in the rankings. This might bring us back up a little bit towards that kind of equivalent high point, depending on what happens with other teams. If every team in the top 10 wins, I don't think it's going to move us up. But we could see ourselves in 8th next week. There's that first loss of the season. So Tulane, with their quality, have found a way. 34-24, and it's very clear now that we are the top 2 teams. We are going to get a chance to have a rematch after that disappointing performance. We're still 15th in the nation, and we still have a chance, at least, with the quality ranking and Tulane into the top 25, by the way, that if we can win the conference championship, that we find ourselves back into playoff contention. We're definitely not out of it. That loss hurts, though. 4-star halfback Florence has committed. Wow, things have really fallen apart here at the end of the season as Temple has beaten us as well. I'm guessing this is probably injury related, but we're still showing a 92 overall. We're into the American Football Championship, though, so that's still there. We've slipped to 19th. Tulane is now 14th as they've made their run. We've got some work to do to get back in control here. Pretty sure that American Conference, whoever is the top seed, just hosts. So now that we've slipped to 6-2 and Tulane is 7-1, that makes them the top seed. Meaning now we've got to play Tulane on the road. It's going to take a much better performance to overcome and get victory here in our first American championship. Either way, though, playing in the championship game, I don't think we're in any sort of position to hurt our prestige this year. But we're definitely not going to make gains if we don't win this thing. Recently, we're finding that going head-to-head with big programs is not working. And I've had a lot of guys that were close to commitment and others were well behind us that through usually a visit would make insane gains over a very short period and overcome us. And so I've lost a lot of these 4-star recruits that we put the time in and we were very close to. So we're not quite there yet. I think it's going to take at least another half-star or a full star before we're going to start actually beating those programs out to those signatures. But we're not getting none of them, just very few. I think this is 6 to 7 now, recruits. We've won. We have won. And we have the injuries now to show for it as we drop to a 91 overall. So we've won the American Conference in our first year. Sweet. And the Heisman goes to the USC quarterback Barry Stewart. 51 touchdowns and over 4,000 yards. But we are not headed to the playoff. We're headed to the Gasparilla Bowl against Virginia Tech. We are ranked right where we were at 19th. So looking at those last 3 games here of the season, we have a 34-24 loss to Tulane at home. That was rough. And then this was the real stink pot. Losing to Temple 26-24 at home. They're a 6-6 team. 3-5 in conference. Can't believe we lost that one. But we rebounded, finally going on the road to Tulane, winning 31-24. So we reversed the score almost exactly. And now we take on Virginia Tech, who, while not being ranked, are 9-3. Had a 5-3 record in their conference. Looking at the playoff bracket, we're not going to follow it round by round as we didn't qualify, though we were obviously close. Boise State gets that final seed. Let's see how far off we were from Boise State, at least in the rankings. It's not the playoff rankings, but it is the close comparison. Yeah, Boise State was 12th. And at 19th, we definitely didn't get in. Tulane was 14th. Now, had they won, they were a spot ahead of Boise State. Boise State was 15th a week earlier. Tulane probably would have made the playoff over Boise State. Boise State's 12-1. They're in that new Pac-12 conference. So we did make that conference a little stronger. And looking at this, right, Louisville did not play in a championship. UCLA did not. Tennessee did not. Tulane lost to us. Probably would have gotten that last playoff spot. Ole Miss did not play. Oklahoma State lost theirs, making us next. We were the next one in, or would have been the next one in. Our ranking didn't improve with our victory, though, sadly. So certainly not far off from the playoff. Now, if we don't lose to Temple there at the end, it would have been awfully close with us and Boise State, especially as we both would have been 12-1. I don't know, though. I don't know. That would, yeah. I think we might have still made it. Or maybe we're sitting right behind Boise State. I mean, they only beat San Diego State, who was 22nd, where Tulane, right, lost to us. They dropped 2 spots. We didn't move up. I'm really surprised we didn't move up, but, whatever. But Virginia Tech is only a 69 overall. Well, this should be a bowl win. It is a win, and Marvin Coffey has now set the career receptions record. Really glad we were able to get him back for the year. And there's confirmation of the bowl win. Oh, and it was a blowout. 41-17, one of our easier games of the season. to finish at 12-2, which is definitely a good year. Obviously, we will finish in the rankings as well, potentially move it up just a little bit. The only major slip up was Temple. We split with Tulane, and I think that's going to be the theme kind of going forward as we try to catch up to them in prestige. Finishing where we did, slight chance of an increase in prestige with the bowl victory and the conference championship. Certainly possible that we could get to that third star. Not likely, though. Florida has beaten Miami to win the championship. It was 5v3. Final score 48-20. Oh no, of course. We win our bowl game and we lose spots in the rankings. But again, there's that prestige scenario. So we finished 20th in the final rankings with Florida, Miami, USC, Pitt, and BYU. BYU cracking the top 5, 13-1 for them this season. Their only loss coming in the playoff. Moving on to players leaving, and the list is way long compared to what we even saw as potential. We've got 12 players. 12 players leaving us. What in the world just happened? We do have some chance to retain some of them. We've got a number of true freshmen worried about various things. A couple sophomores, and then 4 juniors, including 2 guys that are headed to the draft, which is a good thing, but we also don't want to necessarily lose them. So we will try to retain our 2 90-plus overall receivers, especially as I have a better chance of keeping them compared to some of the others. But we have failed in both of those. We'll move into the others. 92 overall corner who's worried about championship contender, even though we finished the season still a B+ in that department. That one loss to Temple has hurt us severely this year. Looks like we didn't gain the half star either. We're still at 2.5. Our 5-star Lapino is leaving too. He's worried about the playing style as the receivers. The ball's just spread around way too much. He only had 3 catches this season as a sophomore, though. Ay. There's too many guys up the depth chart ahead of him. Well, we only were able to retain 1, and it was the weakest of the entire bunch. In fact, I think it was the weakest player in the entire roster this season. 65 overall, freshman, linebacker. We get our 2nd ever first-round draft pick. Set back-to-back years. A 97 overall corner in Middlebrooks. We get a round 3, round 4, and 2 round 6 guys as well. So our first ever draft class of 5. Fantastic. But again, there is so much talent leaving the team this season. This is going to be hard to refill. 11 transfers out. 5 guys drafted. A lot of seniors. This is going to be very important off-season recruitment for us. For whatever the reason is, I just unlocked Talent Developer. Cool. Well, I don't have an exact definition on what it is we did, because once you unlock it, it goes away. It doesn't show you what the requirements were. But looking here, I think I can guess. So if we look at Strategist, it's win 4 bowl games and then spend 50 in Tactician. Here, for Architect, it's win 4 rivalry games and spend 50 in Tactician. So here's Tactician. It's already unlocked. I just have to purchase it, which is 30 tokens. On the other end of the spectrum, we have the same sort of thing. We have Motivator, which we've already unlocked. The first one at Master Motivator is just a matter of spending the 50 coin. For Recruiter, it's already unlocked. The next one is Sign 2 top 5 recruiting classes. So here, Talent Developer, which is that in between neutral one that requires a little bit from both, and the archetype perk is draft dividends. It has to do with the draft. I'm guessing it was 5 guys in the same draft class. That's going to take 15 to unlock. But it's about development, so I think I really want to get into that, because then you can push your guys up to that higher level. Now, we are getting there, though. I mean, we are getting guys maxed out, the occasional one, but plenty are not. So I think there's a lot to be had from opening up talent developer. In this final week of recruiting, things are a little all over the place, and I'm not confident in plenty of signatures. We could end up with less than 30 in this class quite easily. We only have 6 right now, all 4-star guys. We're not going to get any 5 stars. That's already noted. We're not going to get anywhere near the number of 4 stars I was hoping, as what I mentioned a little bit ago with the recurrence of being way ahead of guys and then still losing out on their signatures late in the season happened not just a little, it happened a ton, and we went from 20 plus 4 stars to, well, maybe 7. Transfer market is another one of those areas where we came out swinging, got number 1 on quite a few guys, but bigger programs are sneaking in behind us and probably overtaking us for them. So I'm not even going to show you what I have here. It's a bit of a mess, but we are definitely going to lose some quality here. I'm nervous. We missed quite a few as the commits felt light. Well, let's see how we did. We did get the 7th 4-star recruit, so there's one positive. And that was one we were losing on, but they focused on their transfer guy, and I got my 4-star halfback, number 9 halfback in the country. 3 stars weren't a problem. They weren't the concern. I was able to do what we always do with those and get the uncontested ones, barely put any hours into them, and got those signatures. So we're very clean through number 24, which was all those 3-star guys. 25 is where we begin the transfer recruits, and you can already see that it's a mixed bag. We got the right guard signed. We're going to miss out on the next 3, 4, 5. And then 2 3-stars we got. And then we missed Trimble. And then we only got one of the last 2. Wow. This is the worst class that I've had in quite a while. We do have quite a few 4 stars, so it's still better than some, but we missed 7 signatures here at the end. I did fear that could happen, but I was at least semi-optimistic that we'd still get 30 plus. This was rough, though. No top 15 class this year. It is still a top 25 class, though. We are 23rd in the rankings, 28 total, only 8 4 stars and 23 stars. Definitely down a little bit from the last couple of years overall, and the worst class in, I'd say, maybe 5 years. Lost the most, we replaced the least. This is the first time that I'm a little worried that we've taken a slight step backwards. Definitely not a big step backwards, but a slight step backwards. And it really started with that loss to Temple and just how much that hurt, because we could have been at 3 stars for prestige, because we very well could have been in the playoff. Even after that Tulane regular season loss, I think we still make the playoff potentially. It was very close, would have been very close with Boise State. That loss hurt so bad, and I had quite a few visits that day, so we lost 2 to 3 commits from that loss. And actually kind of the Tulane one, I think, might have cost us 1 guy as well. So, rough way to go there. This isn't bad, though. It's still a top 25 recruiting class, which, outside of maybe Tulane, nobody else is matching. And speaking of, there's Tulane. 1 5-star, 7 4 stars. Very similar class to us, except for it's 10 fewer 3 stars. A center, Vaughn, ends up being our biggest signing, and then Karoma, and then a halfback, a right tackle, and a halfback. So 3 linemen in the top 5. That should help. Because line has not been the greatest recruiting area we've had of late. In fact, it's been a lot of wide receiver. This year, the wide receivers really dropped off. I had the guys, I took them for granted just a little bit because we had so much quality. And then we had 2 guys go into the draft. We had a top senior. We ended up losing somebody else. Our 5-star from a year ago, or 2 years ago. We ended up losing 4 or 5 key wide receivers and I had so much quality that I took it for granted, and a lot of wide receivers didn't really want to sign for us because we had too much depth, and then they all leave us. All of a sudden, we have no receiving core for the coming year, potentially. We'll have to see. Obviously, it's going to be easy to recruit again next year, but this could be a difficult year ahead of us. We go from a zillion wide receiver targets to maybe nothing. And of course, our ratings end up going unchanged as we didn't pick up the half star. Championship contender had slipped just a little bit to B+, and I have a feeling we're going backwards in the coming season, so quality-wise. So we might still just barely stay at B+ status. Program tradition still has only grown to a D. Campus lifestyles got us dead last, but that's same for a lot. It's a minimum grade. Stadium atmosphere isn't getting much better. We've won a lot more. It's still at 51% though. And we've played a lot of seasons, so it's a very, very long process to turn that around. Brand exposure is up to a C though from a C-, so that is starting to grow. The streaming games has dropped off a lot. Being in a bigger conference is going to certainly help with that, and seems to already be helping. There's the new conference prestige ratings, by the way, as we've made some changes. So FBS Independence is now sitting at the bottom with no grade at all, as there's no programs in there. Conference USA sits at a C-, with the Sun Belt at a C, the MAC at a C+ still. Pac-12 is a B-. That's unchanged. It's unchanged, even though we've moved some programs in there. Mountain West at a B? How is the Mountain West sitting at a... That seems a little high, especially with the Pac-12 sitting behind them. The best Mountain West programs all moved to the Pac-12, and they didn't flip on grades. American remains at a B+. That's our new home, so we're 5th biggest conference now. Big 12 at an A-, Big 10 at an A, the SEC at an A+, and the ACC at an A+, which I don't know how it's number 1. I don't know how it's not sitting at number 3 or 4. Coach stability is finally, or was it already, at a B-. It's closing in on a B at least. 17 years we've played already. Coach prestige is up to an A. I've got an A+ now. Our offensive coordinator has jumped to a B. That's a good rating. In fact, it's very close. We are 7th. We are one spot away from an A+ on this one. One spot away from cracking the top 6. And those athletic facilities are still a D. We need that next half star to maybe see it get a little bit higher. Now, even though there's only 28, there's still plenty of quality. We've got good players coming in. I just do fear that it's that partial step backwards. But that is going to do it for this episode. We've at least shortened the window for what we have to do for the next episode. So maybe we'll kind of settle in between or get a full season, get back to this point again. We'll see. That's going to do it for this one, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.